Last week in Chicagoland, Jared Davis punched his second straight winning ticket into another round of the playoffs. Only 4 spots remain. And with that, 6 of our remaining 9 drivers are within 10 points of the cut line, up or down. Nobody has a clear-cut advantage. Every driver besides Davis could see a major up or a major down tonight. There is no way to predict what will happen at the end of the next 70 laps of racing. We're back at the 2.5-mile circuit where it all began, the Daytona International Speedway. Welcome back to Daytona Beach, live on FTN Broadcasting with race number 26 on the 2025 Integrity Ignite Series schedule. This is the Firecracker 175, our shortest superspeedway race of the year, and yet at the very same time, the race with the highest stakes. What happens tonight changes and, of course, makes the balance between entering the playoffs for one final round and exiting all the more clear for every driver involved. More than 35 have registered once again. The field is tight as qualifying is on the move. There's 2 minutes left on the clock as we go downstairs. I'll be your host for tonight's broadcast. I'm David Kreutz, commentating and producing. Welcome back to Daytona. Last time we were here, the rookie Jack Drucker burst onto the scene with a race win. Perhaps that's the anticipation and goal tonight as we take a look. Brandon Bernhardt, one of the many on the racetrack now. Hunter Madalenis soars to the top of the board. Hunter taking P1 as it stands with 1 minute and 36 seconds remaining. Now we are due to see what happens here for Hunter Madalenis and company as he's down on the racing circuit, getting his time set. And as it stands, he's up by 21 thousandths of a second here. So not at all a bad place to be, but with a minute remaining, maybe some time to improve for other drivers. So far, not the case. We haven't seen any big differences, and most drivers are now off of the circuit. A little bit more time remains with 1 minute and 3 seconds left on the clock, and we're going to see now who exactly has the opportunity to get those times set. Nick Tarbuck sits in second, Eric McFarland then in third. Here's Matt Sizzler in the number 93 as Tom Wetmore goes up to the top spot. Sizzler at the line, let's see what he has. 29 machine sees Elliott Henderson go P1. Matt Sizzler goes 4th on that lap. A strong run, but no contest for Elliott Henderson, who now sits 5 thousandths above Tom Wetmore. Morton, Durham, Boomer Logan, Cal Filarski, the drivers we're waiting on. Cody Smith goes 21st, not able to get much else out of it. Sizzler strong, Nieto in 12th. And Sam tonight, just looking out for a victory. The Octane Series quest for him continues. Sizzler with a very good run, and it's his best qualifying run of the season, and it looks like that's the tone he wants to bring into the night. 70 laps of racing ahead of us, and the Adrian College car goes 4th, but there's no beating Elliott Henderson. Henderson grabs the pole position, and so now a little bit of time in between our racing action and the 5 minutes of final practice the field is given. We'll be right back after this, live on FTN Broadcasting, taking a quick step aside to get things set up for the night. Stay tuned, you're watching the Firecracker 175, and we'll return with your starting grid.
Boundless makes its presence felt. It will not be ignored. We're helping turn ideas into reality with a wealth of building products that take every architectural style to the next level. This is what it's like to imagine, build, and transform anything we want into exactly what we seek. This is what it means to be boundless.
This message is brought to you by the rebrand of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This publication may not be reposted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. NASCAR Camping World Ford F-150. NASCAR Xfinity Ford Mustang. NASCAR Cup Series Next-Gen Ford Mustang. Arca Menards. This has been the publication of the redesign and rebranding of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This message may not be reposted, republicated, or rebroadcasted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. Thank you, and thanks for your time.
Your starting grid is assembled, and at the top of it, maybe some less familiar faces at the higher points of the starting grid. Unpredictable Daytona always is, and the lineup you're looking at is reflective of just that. Elliott Henderson, a playoff spoiler and a half, finds himself with the pole position tonight, a time coming in at a 50.993 second lap. That's the top of the board over Tom Wetmore in second. The number 69 goes second with a 50.998 second lap. The only drivers to cut under the 51 second threshold tonight, and they do it by the skin of their teeth. Next up is Hunter Madalenis. Hunter finds himself third in the 07, and as he qualifies P3, Matt Sizzler goes P4. The 93 qualifies in fourth tonight ahead of Nick Tarbuck in fifth, and the last man in your top five, that is Vinny Tigner in sixth place. Seventh on the day, then there will be Eric McFarland, the second of the Roadhouse guys in qualifying. February winner Jack Drucker is 8th, Ethan Lane is going 9th, and Thomas Bresci wraps up the top 10 with Josh Christman and Jacob Fife 11th and 12th. Sam Nieto, Matthew Thunhorst 13th and 14th with DJ Stagner 15th. Will Reichard in 16th, 17th, and 18th. Ronnie Osmer and Ryan Potter. John Steele qualifying 19th as Michael Araya. Looking for a rebound run tonight. Starts 20th. 21st goes Hyler Hensley. Then you'll have Cody Smith just beside Tyler. Josh Gallagher and Kyle Cooper in the number 73 to 24th. As the last man in your top 25 is Sebastian Miller. Grant McClendon, Brandon Bernhardt, Blake Gordon, Nicholas Ward, and Blake Cannon are the last drivers. They are all in your top 30. 31st place will then be, just after that, the driver, the 14, Gavin Fitzgerald. 32nd is Casey Shue. 33rd is Jared Davis. 34th, Justin Morton. 35th, Steve Durham. And 36th, Gael Brooks. The final drivers on your lineup, Boomer Logan in the 94. Last, riding shotgun is Cal Filarski in the number 39. 26 race weeks in, 38 drivers strong. Welcome back to Daytona. This is the big one, the championships, of course, fighting for the prizes and the opportunity to get in that final round. It hangs in the balance of tonight. Pole sitter Elliott Henderson, two spoilers on the front row, but it's Hunter Madalenis and company then on back, the ones to watch as final practice is over. Here comes the big show, the race of races, the Firecracker 175. The big thing is, no matter who you are in the playoff bundle, even if you're not in the playoffs, you could win this race off speed and strategy. It just takes a little bit more, perhaps, to get there, of course, with cooperating with the whole field. Everyone is fast, but if you can't communicate, you'll be stuck at the back of the pack, or worse yet, you might end up on a wrecker. There's Elliott Henderson. Henderson finding himself P1. Elliott tonight starting on the pole for the first time in his career, and great to have a first-time pole sitter, but also the nerves of the entire field. Maybe someone you don't expect to see up in front to begin with, getting that chance to lead. How will they do with this new job in front of them? That's always tricky to figure out, and when you got to do it in real time, it's even harder. Practice, yes, we've gotten it, but it doesn't mean anything. Now it just becomes, what can you do? from this point onward to figure it out quickly. 70 laps. Compared to what we had beforehand, we had ourselves a 250-mile race to start the season. In fact, we went longer than 250 miles. Tonight, we're going to be coming in just over 2/3 that marker. And while that sounds like it's more than half, it's a fast track. Daytona International Speedway, a 2.5-mile venue, is quick. And there is no room for slowing down when you're on the high banks. Conditions tonight, it's going to be pretty mild, all things considered. There's not going to be all too much of a worry about the sun. It won't be beaming in, that's a definite. Currently, it looks like we're looking at a forecast of about 75 degrees with a relative humidity of 89%. Winds are southeast bound at about 12 miles an hour. So nothing too ridiculous for the time being. Temperature's going to drop into the low 70s as the night progresses. Humidity is expected to stay the same. Winds shouldn't mean much of a difference. This is a bowl of a circuit. No matter what, you're pushing on the throttle. It doesn't matter where the wind takes you. Tires shouldn't be a big factor tonight. However, what you might look at as a little bit of a challenge is a one-stop strategy, potentially. 70 laps on the table. We could see drivers try to take their 30 to 35 lap runs and go the distance with them. Now, that's a little bit more than maybe what we would expect on the fuel tank. If we go past the halfway marker, we have 75 miles per half. And then from there, it's pushing it. So 75 or so, give or take, the max these drivers can reliably make it on with their fuel cell is 100. You don't want to push it into the high 90s. It might be something that happens tonight at the front of the field, especially if you are on the loud pedal. Elliott Henderson and Tom Wetmore will do the honors of getting things going again in what is our shortest superspeedway race of the year. And so begins the extra challenge of going from the mid-pack to the front without seeing the big one. 10 championship contenders, 4 spots open to make it to the next round. Welcome back to Daytona, where it all began through turns 1 and 2. Race 2 of the round of 10. Welcome back to Daytona Beach. Elliott Henderson, Hunter Madalenas, first and second. That opening lap is as double file as they come, and no big shuffles in the strategy. Well, that's to be expected, but no big shuffles in the lineup. The majority of your top 20 is still in peace. As a matter of fact, not a driver has entered the top 20 from out of it so far, and the top 10 more the same. So right now, everyone going to stay in that rank and file order that they were assigned in qualifying. And it looks like that's going to be the early mindset for all drivers going through these opening laps. Elliott Henderson, Tom Wetmore, and Matt Sizzler are the 1, 2, 3 on the high side here. They remain as we saw them, and most likely that's going to be the way it stays for these opening laps. 70 laps on the table means one thing. We are very close to the end. Compared to when we usually race at Daytona, that checkered flag is within reach so long as we get there safely. All drivers have that one goal of making it to the final stretch of laps, because if you make it to the white flag in one piece, you could win it from 20th or even further on back. However, the big thing, the difference maker, and the problem is that a lot of times drivers don't make it to the end of that point. They don't even make it past halfway at times. We don't have any faster pairs, which means jeopardizing that opportunity That's at your own discretion, that's at your own risk, and it could cost you tremendously if you want to do so. Matt Alenis and company are understanding of that, and right now we are seeing a more relaxed approach than we have ever seen at any other superspeedway race in the Integrity Ignite Series. And interesting to see it is double file all the way down. Some slight moves are being made. Michael Araya has gotten himself up 3 places so far, and it looks like he's put off some guys like Kyle Cooper. Kyle dropping 3, but to make up 3 places in this very, very Loctite circumstance, harder than we've seen it before. 2x2 all the way. Josh Gallagher, 23rd, 24th here. No big movers from the outside top 30 ranks. It looks like if you qualified outside of the top 30, you are basically still there, with little difference being made from then on back. 28th up to 25th for Blake Gordon, are some slight gains on the outside groove, and he's side by side with Josh Gallagher right now. Interestingly enough, as you take a look up the ladder, teammate game might be played a little bit differently tonight, as we have the Roadhouse Racing crew up at the front of the field. While Elliott Henderson drops back slightly on the outside, there's the number 69 of Tom Wetmore, and beside him, Eric McFarland in the number 33. Wetmore and company have been historically very good, and especially this year, great at Daytona. Tom was able to bag the pole position for the Monday night race, the season opener, and then won in the Octane Series, so he knows what it's about. He has started up front, and he has finished up front, and likewise, his teammates have been able to pull some of that qualifying and maybe some more of that racing success off of his example. Wetmore is still just ahead of Eric McFarland, but Eric is no slouch either, qualifying in 7th and making a move up into the 3rd row, so he firmly runs at the lowest in the 6th place. Currently across timing and scoring, he is in 5th, as the opening 7 laps have come and gone without issue. Hunter Madalenis and Elliott Henderson are getting the ride of their lives right now, and you know, we say it's the ride of their lives. I wouldn't say they're in full control. Yes, they are the line leaders, but this begins that strategy talk we got to think about. Right now, if you're going to lead this group, if you're going to lead the pack and stay up in front, you got one thing you have to do no matter what. It does not matter whether or not you got a driver you know pushing you, you got a teammate, or you have someone you don't know. It doesn't matter how many drives are in that pack. If you are the leader, you are expected to set the pace, and that is not an obligation you can get yourself out of without being on the record. Which means that right now, if you're Hunter Madalenis, you got to stay on the loud pedal. If you're Elliott Henderson, your foot is on the gas, and there is almost no break in that. Yes, you might get pushed a little bit, get a little bit of a shove that helps you out, but by and large, you are alone out there as much as you are accompanied by the entire field. Everyone else in the draft, especially those guys in the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th rows who have more buffer, who are close to the leader, but they don't have to go full out. They have the best ride, and the reason is that they don't have to concern themselves with hitting the gas as much. If you're Ethan Lane right now, you are in, I would say, the best position possible. Same goes for Vinny Tigner. He's on the outside. It's basically the same thing. If you're on the inside of the outside, it's 4th or 5th row. Doesn't matter the lane. It just matters the placement. You are sitting in a perfect placement. You see the leader, you're close. If push comes to shove, especially on the inside, you can just drop out of the way. And Lane doesn't have to be on the throttle the whole time. He's got the buffer of the drivers who are in front of him and the buffer of the drivers behind him, which will push him. Aerodynamically speaking, the hole has been cut. He is not alone necessarily, but he doesn't have to worry about himself. And as a result, he can just coast. It's like clutching and coasting at the non-superspeedway tracks, but less extreme. He just can apply less and get more out of the car. Ethan's going about 185 miles an hour. Last time by was a 48-second lap. The pace can definitely be pushed up. I will say that much. We are not looking at the fastest laps possible. The fastest laps put down in practice were about 1.5 seconds quicker than what you're seeing right now. Ryan Potter has put down the fastest lap of the session. He put down in first practice a 47.033 second lap. Last time by, under racing conditions, he just put down a 48.685. That is a 1.7 second difference. So there is a lot to be gained on the racetrack that isn't being used up just yet. That is intentionally. And it goes to show the conservative mindset of everyone right now. They are really just trying to ride it safely today, which is an interesting call to make considering we have not, to this point this season, seen that as much of a trend of the superspeedways. Talladega 2023 really comes to mind, where we ran 266 consecutive green flag miles in what was the second longest green flag stretch ever in Ignite Series history. It was amazing. A flag-to-flag run that got us from the beginning of the race to the end with no hitches in between. I mean, I'll tell you this much. The fact it happened, and the fact it happened with the field we had that night of just about 40 drivers, even more unbelievable. But this field has the potential to do it. They just haven't. Daytona in February was a very aggressive race. There was a lot of jockeying back and forth. Nobody really giving each other an inch until they absolutely had to. And that's how Jack Drucker got away late in the going and just eked out a victory in what was a hard-fought battle, at the very least. And if all honesty, you look back at it, it was a slugfest back and forth. Drivers right now are showing each other a very, very good amount of respect, but now we might see someone pushing the needle. Here comes Ethan Lane, here comes Tom Wetmore, here comes 3 wide, and for the first time tonight, you're looking at drivers going triple file all the way down the back straightaway. Maybe it'll stay the same. Ethan Lane hung out to dry. Wetmore's decided he's had enough of that. He'll take the outside line, he'll make it his. While Lane fades ever so slightly, Roadhouse Racing has itself a line leader. That's going to be the number 69 of Ethan Lane to the point. Now, that's the strong part, of course, for Wetmore's cause, that he can do it independently if he needs to, but he has teammates that, if they can get up there, he can really bounce around. Blake Cannon being one of which. Cannon tonight, not starting well, admittedly. He qualified in 30th place, which is a very un-Blake Cannon way to start the night. Interestingly enough, of course, 30th place here at Daytona, usually something you can slot yourself out of quick. It's taken 13 laps to gain 10 places, and I think for Cannon, that was not at all the expectation. Blake comes in tonight 10 points above the cut line. He can afford to have a slow start. What he can't afford to have is a race where he falters. He is the first of 6 drivers who is within 10 points of the cut line in both directions. So he is close to being put out, and he is close to fighting to stay in next week. It could go 3 ways. He could win and lock himself in, he could stay above the cut line, or he could drop back. And for Cannon, being in 20th place right now, and you got guys like Stagner and Bresci and Thunhorst ahead of you on the racetrack, bad news. He's got to keep on moving. DJ Stagner, more the same. And Stagner, when he has his team around him, is one of the best drivers at Daytona. Oh, to the inside, DJ Stagner peels in! And it looks like he will drop on his own accord. Nobody else goes with Stagner, and he is far out of line. Now take a look with Stagner. What just happened? DJ in the 64 drops to the inside and now runs in 35th after being up there in the upper mid-pack, running about 14th place. Take a look at this. Stagner to the inside, and it looks like he was with nobody else. Didn't see any contact, and so he will find himself out of the picture. Tom Wetmore, the number 69 here, leads the way. Hunter Madalenas P2, Nick Tarbuck third on the inside line. But DJ just dropped out. That's going to leave Ryan Potter alone. Potter up to 13th, but no longer with the team captain. .16 laps in out of 70 here. Wetmore now leading the inside line. Elliott Henderson gets his outside back. Hunter Madalenis in the 0-7 is pulling through, and he is now second man, which means he doesn't have to concern himself as much with the throttle game. Well, maybe he has to do more work, but he doesn't have to put the power down fully. If you take a listen on board, you're going to hear it. Madalenis doesn't have to be on the throttle fully to get that full speed going. Hunter right now just letting Tom Wetmore hold it, and maybe a little bit more of an aggressive approach. A nice bump there. You can't afford to do that in the corners. Josh Christman, Sam Nieto, the number 55 of Ronnie Osmer and company, all there. Michael Lariah, 20th up to 13th, so up 7 places for Lariah. Keep in mind, Michael on the chopping block. He is one of the many drivers right now who is in that close quarter circumstance, and for him, he is in the worst of it. He finds himself down 18 points. He is 10th place of all 10 drivers in the championship picture. So, tricky situation. He needs basically to win. In all honesty, if he doesn't get it done this week, it's going to be pushed down to the last moments for Michael Lariah. Cody Smith, number 18, 22nd up to 15th. Let's see what happens from here. Of course, Lariah still with time to spare from this point onward to the end of the race. $18 out of 70. Elliott Henderson still toe-to-toe. Wetmore now dropping back. It's going to be Vinny Tigner who takes the outside. 19 laps in out of 70 here. 4 laps down is Jacob Fife. 3 down is DJ Stagner. It looks like DJ is off the racing circuit. Jared Davis, the final driver, racing here on the lead lap. And for Davis, he doesn't have to concern himself at all with what's in front. And that is amazing for him. Davis right now, I don't think he's checked out, but he doesn't have to race aggressively. He's in 34th. He won last week. He can afford to be as far back as he wants. The point situation does not apply to him. All he's got to do is show up to these races, show up for the next week and the week after that, and he's got himself a ticket punch to the final round of the playoffs. 3 races to decide a champion. Davis has been red hot as of late. I mean, he's gotten himself back into that situation where he can win the title, and he was a long shot coming in out of the regular season, only a victory to his name priorhand, and now he's been able to rack up strong performances to the point he's the first driver in, even beating Ethan Lane to get that first ticket. And with Davis having that, tonight does not matter. Jacob Fife is back on the track, and he doesn't have to worry in the least. Vinny Tigner up high. There's the number 69 of Tom Wetmore. 3 wide goes Vinny Tigner, shot down the line as JTM Motorsports sees Thomas Bressi coming through. Bressi right now is 10 points under the cut. His teammate Matthew Funhorst is just 3 points over, and so continues that team rivalry. Maybe not necessarily a direct rivalry, shall we say, but Thomas Bressi, all things considered, he and Funhorst have been lockstep all season. The only difference between them from about April on has been about 25 points. The difference right now between them is 13. And that difference, while it might not sound major, and for a while there, that was the difference for second in the regular season championship for Bressi and first for the lead for Funhorst. Now, that is the difference between being 4th in the championship and 8th in the championship. So, 13 points means a lot more when you got drivers stuffed in the brim in that gap. Tom Wetmore to the inside once again. He's got the race lead. Sam Nieto 13th up to 10th. Gordon 28th to 11th. Vinny Tigner 3 abreast. Tigner finds himself a lonely man, much like Ethan Lane was, and he's been shot back down to where Ethan resides. Lade is now 4 spots back where he qualified and nearly gets up to Tigner. Now that could have been a whole lot trickier for the entire field had they made worse contact. Blake Cannon, Josh Christman, Ethan Lane, 3 wide. Then you got Drucker with Gordon and Ronnie Osmer. Now, Jack Drucker finding himself closer and closer to the front of the field, but it's after a series of already some early ups and downs. A low of 15th place and starting in 8th, Jack now finds himself 7 spots under where it began for the 56 crew tonight. But even though he's in 15th, he's pretty close to that race lead. I mean, he's only 3 rows back, and this time in scoring loop should get him a little bit closer. Hunter Madalenis and Ethan Lane are the third group. It's a 4-car enterprise. Nick Ward is the last of which. Ward in the 97 is there, and no longer is he lonely. 4 appears to be company. Company enough to stay in the top 3 fight for Hunter Madalenis as Hunter takes the race lead into the turn. Of course, the first of the night, 1 and 2. Madalenis has Bresci and Wetmore all beside him. Upstairs with a 4-car outside groove, and then you got the remaining 30 drivers in this pack separate across the other 2 lines. And they're basically dead even. The outside struggles a little bit more out of turns 3 and 4, but that straightaway run carries them right back into turn 1, and so it begins again. Thomas Bresci now getting his time in the sun and leading. Perhaps historically, Thomas Bresci serves to have 2 titles in the Integrity Ignite Series and being, I would say, the best road course racer overall, although this year has been a departure from that. 2023 and 24, he was the ace of aces. And super speedway-wise, his numbers are unparalleled. His success at Talladega alone in 2023 in sweeping that racetrack is something that no other driver has been able to do or even come close. In the same year, winning at the same super speedway circuit twice is a ridiculous feat, especially when it comes to simulation racing. There is no risk of going out there and getting hurt. Aggression levels are higher. Bresci did it twice in 2023 with hundreds upon hundreds of miles of green flag laps. Yellow flags were not a factor of his game. He was a long-run champion outright when it came to Talladega. Daytona hasn't treated him as well, but who's to say it won't tonight? 24 car looking strong as it is. Of course, that Exalta Chevrolet with the same sponsorship as William Byron. Byron with the back-to-back Daytona 500 championships, and who's best to represent and replicate the 24 of Byron than it is the 24 of Bresci. And so it looks like right now, middle of now a 9-car blockade in the opening 3 rows. It is Thomas Bresci who finds himself stuck in the middle with DJ Stagner coming up. DJ set to go 1 lap down, your 15th place qualifier, ducking in early and prematurely getting back on the racetrack. Luckily, as it's a squeeze up high. Oh, Wetmore, Madalenis, that did not look easy. Eric McFarland is now going to be squeezed in there. Luckily, Stagner gets out of the way, but that could have been horrible. He couldn't pull himself down to the apron at the speed he was going. So, Stagner gets out of the leader's way, but only just. Now that could have been a whole lot worse. Luckily, everyone gets out of it and we continue on, but either way, the risk factor of having a lapper right beside the leaders is tangible, and it's a palpable presence throughout the entire field here. Nobody wants to have that experience of getting messed up by a lapper, and the field could go down if one driver even makes contact. DJ was kind of forced in that situation, just staying up there because there's no way he could have slammed the brakes and locked it down, but at the very same time, Wetmore and Madalenis, not an easy time. They luckily just got room up ahead of them and above them. Huge difference maker. "28 laps in out of 70. Within 10, the entire field is expected to go down to pit road. Halfway marker at lap number 35. A little bit of a shuffle up up high. It is Ethan Lane leading the high side. Matt Alenis and Thomas Bressi now take the second groove. Wetmore has Nick Tarbuck right behind him on the inside. Hunter here, middle of 3, just about a half car length up. Eric McFarland, Josh Christman, Ronnie Osmer, all of which accompanying. Now Osmer again started the season off strong, getting a podium finish here. So much like Jack Drucker, he was one of those rookies who really came out and burst onto the scene with success tonight. Goes Nicholas Ward up high in a brief moment of being loose and out of control. Luckily he saves it. The 97 there, you saw him bobble, but these bobbles have been controlled so far. Lane gets down to the second groove. That leaves Drucker up high as the line leader. Gavin Fitzgerald in the 14 is back tonight. Didn't see him for the majority of the summer stretch, but it looks like now he's going to finish off the year with us here. And the Giant Tiger Ford Mustang, that number 14, is ready to get going. And it looks like he's got himself made up high. The high spot he's been in all night long. Gavin qualified in 31st. So he's made it up 19 places to this point, and this is the closest he's been to the race lead. Eric McFarland in the 33 just dropped way back now, and he's going to get to the tail end of the line, as it looks like he got squeezed and now has to fall back into the single file formation. Luckily for him, not a lot of damage, if any. And we're looking at that right side as it looks like maybe some paint scuffs, but otherwise, Eric is good to continue way behind where his teammates are now. Blake Cannon has gone 30th to 12th, up 18 places. His teammate leads the way. That's Tom Wetmore. Roadhouse Racing is in control, but Ethan Lane would like to change that. Lane goes side by side. Here comes the number 69. Tom Wetmore at the bottom, Lane in the middle. Hunter Madalena surging up high with the 4-car third groove. That outside is sparse. Not a lot of support, not a lot of drivers, and yet they have been able to keep up and remain competitive through and through. Across the stripe again, Tom Wetmore still right there on the podium. Madalenas gets the edge into 1, and then it goes back to those bottom 2. What's perhaps most surprising is how consistently Hunter has been able to do it with so few drivers around him. I mean, he really doesn't have anyone. Not to say the drivers he have, of course, he's had around him, or currently does, as they've been bad drivers to work with, but there is a big component of strength in numbers. We talk about it all the time, and so far it looks like that Hunter Madalenas and his crew have been defiant of that. Drucker, Tigner, and with them, of course, Nicholas Ward. They've stayed up front, even if they haven't had a lot of drivers really helping out the cause. Vinny Tigner going to get down to the inside ever so slightly. If he just gets the room, Sam Nieto boxes him out again. Sam, 13th to 13th, so he is staying on par with where it all began for him. And Sam is going to be competing for the Octane Series Championship next race in that run. It's going to be tomorrow. And the Ignite Series, of course, being the Monday night tour. The Tuesday nights go to Octane Series action. They'll be at the Charlotte Roval for their final road race of the season. And that's the penultimate race of the round of 10. For both series, the week of September 30th, you will have the final round begin. Auto Club Speedway on the Octane Series side of things. And the day before, which is September 29th, it'll be Las Vegas for the Ignite Series. That is 2 weeks from now, so stay tuned and make sure to subscribe to FTN Broadcasting so you stay notified, because the championship chase is drawing near for both the Ignite and Octane Series. And this race could punch a ticket for another member of that title contending bunch. Ethan Lane might be able to punch his ticket. He's currently sitting second in points. Bressi is sitting 10 points under the cut line, and he would like to go from the bottom to the top, literally, as he gets up high and try to win this one. .35 laps in out of 70. Halfway down, halfway to go. Second half begins next time by, and we are waiting to see those calls to pit road. The one-stop strategy is very possible, and it looks like with the way things are going, that's going to be the preferential route for everyone in the field. Matthew Thunhorse now getting his taste of the race lead. Ryan Potter up and down, inside, outside, with no DJ Stagner to help him. He's got to help himself. That's the 99 making some moves, and about 20th there. You can see him shuffling as it goes double file further on back. Again, the outside line has been pure a phenomenon up in front. There hasn't been a lot of buzz 3 wide further behind, and I mean that's entirely intentional. Drivers don't want to concern themselves with going the full distance at an aggressive level, but the outside has been a part of the leading component all night long. 35 laps to go this time by, and it's a continuation of what we've seen. Reserved racing tonight. However, the qualifying lineup has definitely been shaken up. Your first place driver in qualifying runs now in 15th. And your 14th place qualifier runs now in first. So, goes to show, it doesn't matter where you began, no matter what, even if the racing is hard to come by when it comes to passes, Daytona gives you the space. This is what it's all about. Not only do you have to survive the unpredictability to make it to that final round, but you have to have the skill to make it so. Jacob Fife drops to the inside. Matthew Thunhorse is now leading, and beside him is Blake Cannon. What a race Cannon has had to get up here. 30th place he qualified in. Now he finds himself up in third. And of course, as high as second there briefly, gaining more than 25 places in what has been a difficult race by all means. Nothing good comes easy for the Roadhouse Racing crew. And for the first time all night long, they now run side by side. It'll be Wetmore on the bottom, Cannon up top, and the dream team, that 1-2 combination, when they work together, they make things happen. So far, it looks like they have been able to do so with successful impact. Wetmore's been up front since the jump. Cannon has clawed his way in, and now they're here together. What's going to happen if these teammates stick together, though, is the big question. Matthew Thunhorse doesn't have any teammates he can directly latch onto, the closest of which would be Thomas Bressi. However, Bressi, for the time being, is not close enough. Thomas finds himself running in 12th right alongside Josh Christman, and so as these team guys separate once again, you gotta wonder, what's gonna happen now? KTM Motorsport, is it gonna be an individual operation, or will they try to link up when they inevitably go down to pit road? Drivers can stretch it a little bit further beyond the halfway marker. The expectation is still within the next 5 or 6 laps, the field will start seeing drivers flock in. Running long, because tonight, speed can be found anywhere on the racetrack. Matthew Thunhorse looks low, doesn't signal, everyone stays out this time by. 31 laps to go, coming up. We are firmly past the first half of this race at its conclusion, and now we're on to that next stretch. Blake Cannon takes the race lead, gets ahead of Matthew Thunhorse. Sam Nieto sits in third, and Drucker, 8th up to 5th, as low as 15th place, is now back in the top 5. Jack slots in. Right ahead is going to be Nicholas Ward. Ooh, nice move there from the 97. And as he gets in line, it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 run down the straight and into turn 3. Leader of the second groove, as there no longer is a third, will be Vinny Tigner. And I think now, as you see drivers thinning out again, it means pit road is inevitable. You don't want to go 3 wide on that run in, or you're going to be boxed out and you might miss your stall. So, different mindset coming into play for the entire field now, as they know the most important moment strategically is ahead of them. Pit road might just be the one and done, and that's when the field decides This is it. Roadhouse has its leader. JTM is in second. Sam Nieto, Nicholas Ward, Jack Drucker, and Vinny Tigner. All drivers who don't have those team affiliations. They make up the rest of the upper echelon. Jacob Fife now trying to run with these guys. Jacob is 6 laps down, and looks like tonight he probably will not get what he needs out of the night, and some yellow flags to bolster him up. He would need about 6 of them to get back on the lead lap. Right now, it looks like while he's running comfortably, he is far out of a solid position. 36th place. He's the final driver on the track and the last driver to start today. The only driver within the same range would be DJ Stagner. Stagner being 1 lap down by virtue of getting off the track. Elliott Henderson, Hunter Madalenis, and Gavin Fitzgerald might go 1 lap down briefly, but there's a reason. They went down to pit road, and so they're some of the first to go in based on strategy. Now they'll be joined by the field. Cannon, Nieto, Wetmore, Ward, Drucker, and company all coming together. No problems. 3 wide briefly, and they keep it going. Matthew Thunhorst, your race leader, but all the while, drivers are heading down to pit road and quickly. As Jack Drucker makes his way in, it's going to be 4 tires and fuel. Take a look at the stops being taken. There is Wetmore. There's Tarbuck. And also, you got a few others coming in all the same. Matt Sizzler, Cannon is on his way out, and this is the first big half of the strategy call. Brent McClendon calling in this time by. It's going to be Matthew Thunhorst, very likely to follow in his footsteps. Tigner takes the race lead. Who's in? Who's out? Riker drops in, and it looks like it's going to be the whole field, the rest of that field coming in together. And in a shower of flames, no sparks, no smoke. Cal Filarski. Filarski goes around, and the number 39 has some trouble. As Justin Morton makes it into his stall, no issues there. It was Calvin Filarski who ended up backing in and nearly being spun. He'll put it out, and it looks like he's back on a pit road on his own accord, but this leaves Cody Smith a lonely man with DJ Stagner. Ryan Potter gets on the way. Thomas Pressey right there too. Watch what happens now. It's a split strategy. Here's Wetmore. Tom Wetmore looking to lead the overall race as he gets by those on pit road. Wetmore coming up on Tigner. Coming up on Seb Miller, slicing right by on the Swamp Motorsport number 83. And it looks like Wetmore again takes the top spot. Cody Smith, the lone holdout, is now alone on pit road. You see him right there. Vinny Tigner, he's now no longer your race leader. He was at the line the time previous, but instead it's the number 69 of Tom Wetmore. Wetmore will come across, and he will come back on top. Wetmore, new race leader. Cody Smith just getting out of pit road here, but that will not last for him. He and DJ Stagner come out together, and Smith is putting all the power he can to get him back up to speed, but he's still going to fall back regardless. So, as the field cycles out this lap, we'll really be able to understand who has it and who doesn't. Wetmore high, he'll give Cannon, his teammate, the race lead. Unleash the Beast. Shades of earlier this year in the Octane Series at Darlington. Wetmore letting Blake Cannon, ever the aggressor and always a leader, take the reins, at least for now, and it'll be the number 27 who holds the fort. Not at all a surprising moment, I'll tell you this much. For the number 27 of Blake Cannon here, him taking this race lead, even though he qualified in 30th, he is a driver who finds his way. And he's in a situation this week where to find his way to victory lane would be the defining moment of his season. Cannon came in last year as a part-timer and stole victories in both the Ignite and Octane series. The fact that he did that unbelievable, given the fact that over the entirety of the Octane Series season, 5 drivers won. And out of 95% of those races, only 3 drivers won. And out of 75% of those races, only 2 drivers won races. Cannon was able to do it. Even as a part-time guy and not a full-time competitor, he had the stuff. However, now it looks like he's going to be forced out of the way by last time we were here, the winner, Jack Drucker. When Daytona was as cold as it was up north. Maybe still a little bit warmer. It's pretty warm in Florida. Regardless, when it was a lot colder and a lot more bitter in the real world and the virtual world alike, Drucker was able to warm it all off, get back to work, and win to start the season. Now, as we come into our final days of the summer season, the summer months, Drucker is ahead again, and before the cool kicks back in, he would like to put it all back together. Calm and collected is how he won at Daytona earlier this season. To do it again would punch his ticket for a championship run. It's double file all the way from first and second on back. And now you've got yourself a bundle. We're looking at the better part of about 24 drivers all together and fighting. Now, this is the exciting part. What do they do in these last laps? And thanks to our partners at Whiplash SimCams, you get to see it in depth. Whiplash SimCams provides iRacing's finest, most up-to-date broadcast TV cameras. And best yet, doesn't matter how much experience you have with iRacing, one-click install, and once you buy it, it's yours. Free trials are available at the Whiplash SimCams Discord server, where you can get camera packs for notable tracks such as the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Thank you again to Whiplash SimCams and the Pit Stop TV family for welcoming us in and allowing us to get the best of the best for 2025 and beyond. 22 laps remain from the World Center of Racing. Rookie Drucker leads the veterans all the way down the line from Daytona Beach, Florida. Let's crank it up with 22 laps remaining. 17 laps remaining. Jack Drucker finding himself still your race leader, and it is as close as it comes. Sam Nieto was on the back end of that number 56. Ethan Lane beside him with Ronnie Osmer in support. It has been a flash of a race, and in less than an hour's time, we have seen more than 50 laps completed. 17 laps to go now as we come closer and closer to the tail end of a 70-lap main feature. The Firecracker 175 acts as two things. It is a long race by the nature of the track, the 2.5-mile Daytona International Speedway. It's also a sprint. Mileage-wise, this is one of the shortest races we've had on the schedule in months. We have been usually going above the 180 marker and regularly tipping above 200. 175 is one of the shortest by a long shot, and we only have 2 races that will be shorter for the rest of the year. 93 miles in Martinsville, 175 laps, and 111 miles at Bristol for 210 laps. So, the laps don't matter, the miles matter, and that mile count is a huge deal. For the entirety of the playoffs, from this point onward, we have only seen one race with a shorter mileage in the Dover Motor Speedway. Daytona is able to pull these miles in even quicker, though, because you're going at speeds of 180 miles an hour practically non-stop when you're going cycle after cycle after cycle again. Jack Drucker, he knows what it feels like to win at this track. 15 laps to go. It's rather fitting that he's one of the guys who's looking to close it down. And celebrating again would be that much richer. Kicking off his Integrity Racing League career. Not just his Ignite Series career, but his series career. And doing it with a win. That's something very few drivers have been able to do. And not only did Drucker do it, he did it in style with the biggest race of the season, perhaps the biggest of the regular season. You win then, and you got to take it to the playoffs, automatically basically, and you've immediately got that respect to show that you can win, and the field knows your name. Since that point, Drucker has struggled in getting back to victory lane, but he has remained as competitive as it comes. And while that competitive edge is not gone from Drucker, he's got a lot of other drivers here who have the same feeling. Tonight could be their night. Sam Nieto is looking for a miracle. If it comes in the form of a win today, he will shock the field. 13 laps remain. 17 drivers are in this pack. Nieto, he is 10th and last of all those in the playoff picture. Even to finish in this main pack doesn't guarantee Nieto much, because the successes of other drivers are so close to him that he will still be losing points. I mean, you got Drucker, you got Cannon, you've got around them Matthew Thunhorst and Thomas Bresci and Michael Araya. These drivers are so close that for the Nieto crew, even a fallback slightly would mean to lose a lot more than what's offered. And that means that to not win is a huge failure for this team. Sam making his way in, 1 and 2. He's got about a car length clear. Nieto is 6 under the cut. Lariah 18 down. The situation for Nieto isn't necessarily going to be do or die tonight, even though he is far under that cut line. But you can't guarantee a win at any track, and if you're here with 12 laps to go at Daytona, you can get the job done, and that's stress saved next week. So, yes, by technicality, you don't have to worry about tonight, but it will end up a killer if you let a race like this slip by. 11 laps remain. Sebastian Miller 3 wide into the inside with Gavin Fitzgerald and Matthew Thunhorst. Sam in the number 2 here now getting challenged directly. Ethan Lane side by side and with the momentum to push himself right into the circumstance directly. He's toe to toe. And a practically identical vantage point, dare I say, even better in the situation that he's in. Sam Nieto here, he's on the inside. He does have a solid groove, but Ethan Lane has the advantage of being in the middle, which means that he can still duck low if he has to, but he also gets a little bit of a better surge out of the straightaways, and that straightaway speed, especially off of turn 4, is the difference between winning a race and losing a race. And of course, you're Nieto, you don't want to lose one in a way like that. If you're Lane, well, it doesn't matter. A win is a win. A big surge there. That's a car length and then some with Ronnie Osmer. Ethan here, out in the head. 9 laps to go, this time by single digits. Here we come. With 9 remaining, this is going to become even more interesting than it has been all night. I mean, for the better part of 60 laps, you have seen drivers clean cut, you've seen them double file, and you have seen the utmost respect. Throw that out of the window, maybe pull a few pages back, but there is no rule book for what happens at the end of a race at Daytona, and the field knows it. And so it begins. Side by side, 3 wide, 4 lanes deep. Back to Michael Araya. Araya is chasing Gavin Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald has Matt Alenis. It's the leader, Brant McClendon, on the outside with a stack up. Fitzgerald falls back. Michael Araya is able to account for it and get out of harm's way. Had he not done so, it would have been a different story, all right. Luckily, it didn't end up being a disastrous circumstance. Quick move to the inside there. Ronnie Osmer blocking the middle. 3 wide for second at the line. It's all Lane for the lead. Seven laps remaining. Perhaps the biggest surprise of all, qualifying-wise, is Blake Cannon, but Brant McClendon, 26th up to 4th. We haven't even spoken about what he's done today. Brant has himself in a position where winning is very much a possibility without even being discussed. The LSU Chevy Camaro is very clearly a threat to win it. And how did he get here other than just following the trends? Well, I don't think there's any other explanation. McClendon is not needed to be flashy to put in the laps led to this point. He has let circumstance drive him, and so he is right here, right now. And that's a lot more important than doing things perfect. Getting to this point, where he is right now, Brant McClendon is gone with the flow. And with 6 laps remaining, you can throw everything behind you out the window. All the misgivings and misfortune in getting to point B from point A matter a whole lot less than that ending result. 5 laps to go this time by. Three wide. Brant McClendon up top, leading this lap, the number 11, now one of many with at least one taste up in the front. Gavin Fitzgerald, Tom Wetmore, Ronnie Osmer, Brant McClendon. Those are your playoff spoilers in the top 10. Oh, and Vinny Tigner, Seb Miller, not too far behind. So as likely as it is that a playoff guy wins and punches his ticket into the round of 5, it could as easily be a driver far out of the championship picture who's just looking for the checkered flag. laps to go this time by. Ronnie Osmer, 3 wide here. Middle 3 is Ethan Lane. Bottom is Sam Nieto. Nieto and Lane could punch their ticket. Ronnie Osmer's just looking for a first career win. Drucker pushing. Cannon right there as well. Tom Wetmore, maybe a goal for him now is to get with his Roadhouse teammate and help Cannon make that final round. Big move to the inside of Ronnie Osmer. Osmer blocks Lane. Contact. Bumper to bumper. Ethan Lane feels it. Ronnie Osmer gets the better part and rolls away. 4 laps remaining now. Sam Nieto. Talk about a moment on the inside for the number 2 team as he keeps himself close to the 55 of Osmer. Drucker in P3 on the inner groove. P4 with that respective line will be Cannon. And all of these guys have gone down the line, and you look at them, and while they're in orderly fashion right now, 5 miles remain. I would be hard-pressed to say that Lariah, Tarbuck, and Miller stay obedient on the inside. They got no reason to. They don't have the track position where it's a sacrifice. Now it's all out. Coming to 2 laps to go. Five miles, 2 laps. Hold your breath on this one, because this is the lap that takes us to the white flag. Ronnie Osmer, a car length out and fully. So, we're keeping it quiet here. The anticipation is we just go 500 yards. It's a caution-free race from Daytona. In league history, it's happened, but not in the modern era with the Ignite Series. We're now right there, and as we come across the line, so be it. This race is official. 1 lap to go. Bring up the energy. Watch these drivers. 17 for 1 victory. 16 will fall. The victor will rise. Ethan Lane with a car length now from Tom Wetmore. Lane looking behind. Does he get a shove from the Roadhouse machines? The Tube Tech Chevrolet is no longer. It's that Supra right there that's shoving. Ethan Lane getting a little bit of a run now, and it's all from behind him. The momentum for the 6 car is as clear as day. He'll chop down on Ronnie Osmer. That sends Lane wiggling a half groove high. Lane blocking Wetmore. Loose. Down to the inside with Osmer. Ronnie Osmer cuts to the inside, but it's no use. Ethan Lane beats Tom Wetmore and punches his ticket. For the 2nd straight round, Lane wins the 2nd race of the bracket. Jared Davis, Ethan Lane, they've escaped the madness, and tonight, Lane wins a caution-free run from Daytona. 17 thousandths above Tom Wetmore. Ronnie, as he did in February, finishes 3rd again from Daytona. The winner from the World Center of Racing. Osmer goes down to pit road. Lane comes to celebrate. And to burn it down, it's Ethan Lane. Lane comes back to victory lane in what has been a tremendous season for him in the Ignite Series, and statistically speaking, it's been the weakest of his 2 seasons this year, and he doesn't have as many wins on Mondays as he does on Tuesdays. And we say that, but take it with a grain of salt, because that is Ethan's 7th win of the season. Unbelievable. Lane has done it again, and with that comes a close of our super speedways this year. Flag to flag from Daytona, as exciting as it gets. Ethan Lane's victory may be coming as less a surprise given that he can win anywhere, but it really took him every inch tonight to do so. Leading 10 laps on the day and getting the job done over Tom Wetmore, it is Lane over Wetmore first and second, with Roddy Osmer third, Hunter Madalenis fourth, and Thomas Bressi wrapping up the top 5. Big race for Bressi. Ryan Potter silently, much as we've seen beforehand. I mean, it's the Swamp Motorsport effect. He didn't need DJ Stagner to do it, and he found his way all over again to 6th. 7th place, Sebastian Miller falls behind Jack Drucker, Seb for 8th, Jack for 7th, Nick Tarbuck goes P9, and Kyle Cooper is in 10th. 11th place on the day is then going to be Brant McClendon with Gavin Fitzgerald 12th, Matthew Thunors 13th, and Vinny Tigner then P14. Blake Cannon 15th, Michael Arias 16th, and Sam Nieto 17th, with Jared Davis, Eric McFarland, and Matt Sizzler wrapping up the 20th placement. That's your top 20. 21st place from there is Elliot Henderson. 22nd is Josh Christman. Tyler Hensley is 23rd, with P24 being Blake Gordon. Will Reichert in at 25th. P26 is then going to be John Steele. Josh Gallagher's 27th, Cody Smith 28th, and Justin Morton goes for P29. Brandon Bernhardt wraps up the top 30. And then from there, you'll have 31st, 32nd, Steve Durham and Casey Shue. Nicholas Ward in 33rd. DJ Stagner goes 34th after early connection troubles. And then you'll have 35th, Calvin Filarski. 36th is Jacob Fife. Boomer Logan is 37th. And Gael Brooks as your 38th and last driver on the lineup. What a race it was. Flag to flag, end to end, clean and green. That is what it's all about. And it was a fierce fight for the race victory. Ethan Lane's the man who gets to tell the tale as a winner. And so we'll speak to him first and go down the line with your entire podium. Let's get the number 6 in and talk to the winning man, Ethan Lane. We'll bring him in right now, but until then, give us a brief moment live on FTN Broadcasting and we'll return with your post-race coverage. First to talk to is Ethan Lane.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Lucky number 7 in a caution-free race from the World Center of Racing. Ethan Lane has found a way and done it again from Daytona Tonight, the difference between victory and defeat, 17 one-thousandths of a second, and Ethan Lane finds himself on the luckier end this time around. There was no break, no interruption from Daytona tonight, and while it was our shortest superspeedway race on the calendar, every second mattered to find your way back to victory lane, Ethan.
Yeah, no, all that was stressful. Just basically trying to control the field from the top lane those last 20-30 laps, and yeah, no, that was I'll take it for sure. I don't got to worry about Martinsville now. We can focus on the final round. Oh man, it's great to get the win here.
And a tremendous opportunity, of course, to cut to that next round. Daytona, ever the unpredictable circuit, but I can't imagine that you predicted we would go caution-free of all things.
Yeah, no, I was actually really shocked. I think there was a big wreck like with 10 to go, I think. But it didn't throw a caution, so we kept it green and it worked out in our favor. I know I was throwing some blots there. I was hanging on to it. God, yeah, that was some sketchy driving by me because if you would have heard my in-car camera, it was like, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, every like 3 seconds.
And either way, you were able to break out. Now, the final run, the big difference maker. Pit strategy seemed to be pretty much aligned for everyone, and you were coming from the middle groove on that final lap and were able to block your way through. You and Ronnie Osmer head-to-head, the pressure from everyone behind. How did you manage that? Can you walk us through that final stretch?
Basically not taking the bottom when I could have a lot earlier. That whole last lap, I was like, okay, I know if Tom gets clear of the top, he's going to try to go for it. And I saw him do it out of 2, so I blocked that. Then the third lane got another run. They cut him off again. And then Tom just gave me like the biggest shot down the back stretch. It got me clear. And when Ronnie got to me, it knocked me loose again. So I went back up the track because I lost momentum. I was going to try to block Tom again. And then we blocked him to the wall. And then we got almost turned off 4, and yeah, it was interesting.
By all accounts, the fact that everyone made it to the line, well, not everyone did, and there was a wreck, but the fact that the winning move was to the line, clean and green, unbelievable. One of our cleanest super speedway races on record, and now Martinsville, you can get away, you can sleep well for the next week, and focus on what's next, the final round. How are you feeling about Las Vegas with that in mind now? Maybe that's where your sights are set first.
Well, we have 3 of my favorite racetracks in the final round for the series. We have Vegas to start, Bristol to middle, and then Homestead to finish. Vegas, I think it should be a mega draft lock, just with how these cars are right now. Bristol, who knows how it'll be. And then Homestead, we're hoping and hoping and hoping and hoping we can rip the fence.
Now, all sights are set on a championship to win. Ethan Lane punching a ticket on the Monday night tour to the final round with a win from a caution-free Daytona race. Any final shout-outs you'd like to send?
Just thank you for putting these races on or broadcast on. Everyone at Integrity tonight was a great job, especially with how close we were running each other, how sideways we were getting as well from the bumps, and the majority of the race going 3 wide. So congrats to everyone. Fun race. We'll come back next week. Hopefully have a good one.
Checkered flag falls, 17 one-thousandths, and it's win number 7 for the Ethan Lane crew. Thank you for your time, Ethan.
Thank you.
Now, of course, victory and defeat. 2 sides of that same coin. Tom Wetmore in the number 69. Second place today, and by all accounts, a great race run by both of the leading Roadhouse Racing guys. Cannon faded back later, but Tom, you were in the mix. You qualified second, you stayed around there all night long, and you finished just behind the win in what could have been your second win at Daytona this year.
Yeah, man. I don't even know why we took the green flag. We were started second, we finished second. I mean, come on. You act like we ran 70 laps or something.
Well, by all accounts, It was a fast 70 laps, perhaps our fastest run at Daytona that we've seen in the entirety of the Integrity Ignite series. No cautions, no interruptions, a lot different than the tone we've set at the other superspeedway races this year. Was there any particular way you had to adapt to it or anything that really threw you off about that?
Not so much. I mean, I think a lot of us drivers expected that tonight. The difference in the first race of the season at Daytona versus here tonight, there's a lot more at stake. You have drivers competing for playoff spots where every point matters, and they can't afford to get themselves caught in an accident. So you saw the maturity of the Integrity Racing League Ignite series tonight really come to fruition. Guys holding back instead of pushing it three, maybe when they wanted to, waiting for the right moment. Instead of waiting for a hole the size that a mouse could fit through, they waited to make sure their whole car could, and just shows the patience and also shows that, hey, we've figured out a really good way to run side by side and three wide and anticipate each other's driver movements as we've gotten to know each other over the season. But, you know, nonetheless, you know for a fact that the Tube Tech crew builds themselves a safe race car, knowing that you can virtually total the dog food out of one here at Daytona anytime you want. And I was joking with Eric, another one of our Roadhouse teammates. You know, he's captain of Vex Visions that designs all these cars for the Roadhouse crew. And I told him you're probably going to come up with a few scratches, and heck, we came home with a 0X and barely touched anybody all night long.
And that is as clean as it comes. And you know what? With how close that run to the line was, with the chaos right behind it, I'm shocked you say that. A 0X after 175 miles of Daytona. How about that in itself?
Yeah, again, it says a lot, right? I mean, you know, as always, we talk about the protection of the Robin Steele's attorneys at law, and tonight, I was concerned coming off of turn 4 there. You mentioned that battle with Ethan coming to the line. We had a run up to the high side, and when he threw a block and got a little bit loose, I thought, well, I guess we're going to write off a chassis tonight, and just like Kyle Busch said, make it the most expensive day of the year. But again, credit to the driving ability of everybody here tonight. The entire top three, from Ronnie, I think maybe lifting to not make contact with Ethan when he got loose, and then us all coming to the checkered. Unfortunately, calamity had to happen, and involved our Roadhouse teammate with Blake Cannon, among quite a few others who were on pace for a great finish tonight. Guys that were running up front with just 3 to go. Like, gosh, how about the run by that 11 car of Brandt there? I mean, a guy that's been in contention for a lot of races, but tonight I thought was a chance for that 11 car to win. But among some others, I know Ronnie really wanted that one bad. We were talking about it in the waiting room, but it wasn't meant to be. Ethan collects one, and Roadhouse gets another podium, but without a win tonight.
Podium placements are still strong runs, and there's going to be 4 more opportunities now to bring way to a race win. First one's coming up next in a completely different style of race. Welcome back to short tracks. Welcome back to the paperclip. Martinsville. 5 times fewer when it comes to that mileage. 0.5 compared to 2.5. There really is no bigger difference on the schedule.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about Daytona and the ability to bring home only a steering wheel. Martinsville, I might have to get a hold of Chad this week, Big Evil Designs. He makes a beautiful easel for this car, and I got a weird feeling that it's going to get bent up and out of shape coming into the paperclip next weekend. But we'll try to take the 69 into victory lane, focus on collecting a few more in the win column for the old Roadhouse Motorsport team, and see what we can do, man.
Well, even if you find yourself bent up next week, you save the money and take a clean car from Daytona back to Virginia. Tom Wetmore, second on the day. Any final comments you'd like to leave? The floor is yours.
No, just gotta thank the people that are out there watching. Had a good best friend today. Told me he had a rough day. I was hoping we'd be able to dedicate one to the win column out of Louisville, Kentucky. Get to see his beautiful face up here this weekend, along with a few other friends. But I know he's watching in the crowd tonight, as well as Nancy, and then my fiance as well. Always hanging out in the crowd, watching me virtually turn left. So appreciate him. Appreciate not just my fans, but those who tune in and watch us here tonight. And David, appreciate you putting on a hell of a show for us.
Tom Wetmore, second on the day, 17 one-thousandths of a second. Unfortunately, unlike early in February in the Octane Series, on the flip side of the victory coin. Thank you for your time.
See ya.
Wetmore on the way. Ronnie Osmer is back in the same position he was 7 months ago at this very circuit. Back on the podium, but just shy of victory. Ronnie, it seems like Daytona calls your name and does so real well. You were up there in the fight until the last moment, just slipped away.
Yeah, always have a good track record coming here to Daytona. Always have a way to find a way of missing the wrecks and being up front there at the end, and had a shot at it, but just God, that 6 car, it was about as wide as all 3 lanes, and just couldn't get past them.
And it came down to that defense versus offense, the back and forth, and we're playing it back on the live stream right now. You, Ethan Lane, really were head-to-head in those final moments. Lane had the middle, you had the inside. We had a lot of green flag racing, so I cut to chase when I asked you, do you think where you were position-wise, the low groove, the middle, or the high, did it impact the way you raced through that run?
Yeah, absolutely. Just if you were stuck in the middle, like I was pushing Ethan that whole time, I was just waiting for that motor to blow up because there was no cool air to get onto the engine. So you just had to be patient that whole time in the middle. The outside, they'd have their spurts of when they were fast and when they were not, but knowing how super speedway racing is, the bottom always prevails normally. So I got down there. Sam, he has a Ford. The Fords are always the best at pushing with their flat noses. So I tried to take advantage of that and him being there. And it was working till about turn 3. And then just luckily came home third.
Now, of course, keeping yourself clean and collected throughout the entire night, a huge deal. But from where you started, that wasn't a guarantee. 17th place. Was it a challenge for you to make it up in front?
It was all about patience. It's super speedway racing. You could start dead last or on the very front row. If you're not patient, you're going to get yourself into the wreck. So I was just playing patient the whole time. Stage points being out of the playoffs didn't matter to me, so I was doing everything could be patient, wait my shot, timed pit road perfectly, and came out with the top guys and was at the front there at the end.
Now, the momentum may be building it up for one final push for a race win. Ronnie, you have been close time and again to finding victory. You've gotten top 3 runs, top 5 finishes, and it's become commonplace throughout at least once a month getting those strong runs. You got this here, setting the tone for the final 4 races. You think Martinsville might be the next opportunity?
Absolutely. Next to the Super Speedways, the short tracks are my best circuits to run on, and just want to keep any momentum I can keep, because I was so looking forward to the playoffs. It was all tracks that I liked and could run well at, and just how unlucky the first round was. It is definitely want to finish out the season strong and try to still compete every race.
10th of a second off victory today. 3rd place in a caution-free run from Daytona. Ronnie Osmer, plain and simple, there from beginning to end. Any final comments you'd like to send? It's all yours.
Shout out to guys who run this league, Nat Ballparts, and the review for broadcasting.
Ronnie Osmer, final man on the podium steps from the World Center of Racing. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
55 on the move, Ronnie Osmer proved to be one of the best overall this year at Daytona, but he was outdone tonight. Tom Wetmore was as well, and he had a win coming in from this track to this venue, but the Octane Series success couldn't directly translate, and so Ethan Lane, by the skin of his teeth, pulls his league-leading 7th win on the Monday nights and stretches the stats even further. This is an unbelievable season for Lane, and the fact that 7 wins is the lower of his 2 categories in both series is just nothing short of remarkable. And the fact that he did in a caution-free race at Daytona, it was a wild card on top of a wild card, and by the numbers, your most predictable winner just won again. Checkered flag falls, the day is done from Daytona. We will be back again tomorrow night as the Octane Series goes on to its next race on the schedule from the Charlotte Motor Speedway and the Roval. Until then, you've been enjoying coverage of the 2025 Integrity Ignite Series in our 26th race of the season. I've been your host, David Kreutz, commentating and producing, and if you enjoyed, leave a like on the stream and, of course, subscribe to the channel. Congratulations to Ethan Lane on collecting his, 7th win on the season. An unbelievable run, no doubt about that. Week after week, Lane's had it made, and he does it again. We'll be back next week from the Martinsville Speedway. Same time, same place, 9 p.m. Eastern, live on FTN. We'd love to have you there for coverage, exclusive coverage of the Integrity Racing League. Thank you for tuning in tonight. We hope you have a fantastic rest of your night, of course, and we'll see you back again. From FTN Broadcasting, thank you for tuning in.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Boundless makes its presence felt. It will not be ignored. We're helping turn ideas into reality with a wealth of building products that take every architectural style to the next level. This is what it's like to imagine, build, and transform anything we want into exactly what we seek. This is what it means to be boundless.
Welcome to the Underdog Racing Podcast, where we talk to NASCAR drivers from all over the great country of America. Each week, we chat about the latest races, share stories from the track, and get to know the drivers behind the wheel. We break down the action, hear from drivers about their experiences, and dive into what drives them to keep racing. Whether you're a longtime NASCAR fan or just curious about the sport, this is the place for you. So tune in to the Underdog Racing Podcast, your inside look at the world of NASCAR. Catch us every Wednesday at 6:30 Eastern.
This message is brought to you by the rebrand of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This publication may not be reposted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. NASCAR Camping World Ford F-150. NASCAR Xfinity Ford Mustang. NASCAR Cup Series Next-Gen Ford Mustang. Arkham Menards. This has been the publication of the redesign and rebranding of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This message may not be reposted, republicated, or rebroadcasted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. Thank you, and thanks for your time.